Okay, next we're going to work on the lead vocal. Now I like to work on the vocal in stages, in terms of signal flow. And if you remember, we already got a rough sound for the vocal. Starting with an EQ to cut out the low end and a little low mids. Moving on to the compressor to even it out a bit. And finishing off with another EQ, adding some high shoving EQ to make it sound brighter. But before we even get to these things, there's another level of gain we can work with. And in Pro Tools, that's called clip gain. Now most DAWs have a point in the signal chain where you can do the same thing, which is basically working with the volume before the inserts, right here. But in Pro Tools, it's called clip gain. And we can see it over here. Clip gain info puts a little volume right here that can be adjusted. And also, clip gain line puts a line here so we can grab sections and change their volume. So the benefit of this is that it's before our inserts, and more importantly, before our compressor. So if we watch the vocal right now, you'll notice the amount of gain reduction that's happening is not really consistent, because what's going into the compressor isn't consistent. Check it out.
Oh, how could you know? Do you believe? Somewhere deep inside.
Because some lines are louder than others. So one of the best ways of making our performance even before it hits the compressor is using this adjustment right here. We could also solve problems with it, like P-pops or de-essing. But for right now, we're just going to go over line by line and make the vocal more even. Now it takes a bit more time, but it's worth it in the end, because the compressor is doing a little bit less, so it'll sound smoother, and any problem frequencies, or P-pops, or loud entrances, are going to be reduced before hitting the compressor, so they're not going to pop out in a weird way. So let's start off with this first line here.
Oh, how could you know? Do you believe?
Let's bring the first line up a little louder by selecting it and bringing it up. So now it's going to hit the compressor a bit harder.
Oh, how could you know?
But if you notice, the first piece is hitting a bit too hard. So let's grab that piece right here and bring that down a bit, just so it's a bit more even compared to the next piece. Let's hear that.
Oh, how could you know?
That sounds a lot better. Before?
Oh, how could you know?
That H sound really jumps out.
Oh, how could you know?
Now it sounds a lot more even going into the compressor.
Oh, how could you know?
So let's move along and check out the next line.
Oh, how could you know? Do you believe?
Let's bring this up a bit.
Oh, how could you know? Do you believe? Somewhere deep inside.
That sounds better. The third line could also be a bit louder.
Somewhere deep inside, beyond your wildest dreams, there is a place to call home. Far away from here.
Now this line gets a bit lost. So let's bring this up just a bit.
Far away from here. Heaven is revealed. I've searched the world.
Notice how low this one is? Again, if we look at the compressor,
I've searched the world.
it's barely compressing. Look over here.
I've searched the world.
And if we bring the threshold down so it compresses more, it's going to compress even more on this line. So we want to even it out before it even gets there.
I've searched the world to find a reason why
Same with this one.
Some said at home is where your heart lies.
Now let's look at it on the compressor.
I've searched the world to find a reason why. Some said at home is where your heart lies.
It's a lot more even on the way in, and each vocal line is compressed more evenly. Let's skip to the chorus, and we'll bring this part right here down a bit so it matches the rest of it.
How could you know?
Let's bring it all up though.
How could you know?
Again, makes it more even over here.
How could you know?
Hitting a bit too hard. Bring it down.
How could you know? Do you believe?
Can come up a bit. Now I'm going to jump ahead and do the rest of the song the same way. Bringing some of these pieces up a bit.
Somewhere deep inside.
Just a more efficient way of writing the vocal. But later on, we're still going to automate the vocal after the compressor. This is just adjusting it in a different place, before the compressor and before the EQ. So when we jump ahead and do the whole song, it looks like this. Let's hear it over here.
Time won't wait, so you better run. This time it could be for real. I'm taking back what is rightfully mine. Get out of my face, step out of my sight. Colors fading, all nights the same. Waiting for someone, if I only knew her name. How could you know? Do you believe? Somewhere deep inside, beyond your wildest dreams, there is a place to call home. Far away from here, heaven is revealed.
Notice how much more even it sounds, even before we ride it and readjust the compression. So that's the first step of working with the vocal. Let's go to the next video, where we'll readjust our EQ and our compression.